Have you ever tried meditation to relieve stress and anxiety? Did it help or did you fall asleep? Maybe you grew more anxious as you sat with your scattered thoughts. That's what happens to me sometimes. Well, help is here. My guest in this episode is sharing a science backed program explaining why and how meditation can work. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Perpetual Motion, a podcast focused on self care, economic independence, positive relationships, and communication. I'm your host, Dr. Mo Anderson. In each episode, I interview thought leaders from all over the world who share tips and tools that add immediate value to your personal growth. Today, meet Ann Swanson. She teaches meditation to busy people with busy minds. She is the author of the best-selling book, Science of Yoga, and her latest release, Meditation for the Real World, which has step-by-step practices to find peace in everyday life. And who doesn't need more peace? So sit back, relax, and let's learn how to meditate together. Welcome, Ann.
So glad to be here, Dr. Mo.
Happy to have you all the way from Hawaii. I guess I should have said aloha, but
Aloha.
looks like it's beautiful there today. And it's very nice here in Texas. Perfect setting for a lovely conversation. I'll start with something very broad. You say meditation offers simple, fast relief for day to day life, no matter how busy you are or what you are going through. How so?
Well, I found that meditation has made a big difference in my anxiety, chronic pain, and I have had the same experience that you have sometimes. When I first started meditating, it kind of made it worse because I was like, wait, my mind is wandering so much and it was hard to sit with my thoughts, right?
Hmm.
So, if any
Right.
of your listeners have had that experience before where you felt anxious or stressed and then meditating didn't actually help, it's not that you were doing it wrong. It's probably two things. One, it's maybe that you're putting a little too much pressure on yourself. People
Hmm.
think meditation is stopping your thoughts, but it's not stopping your thoughts. The definition of meditation could be put as it's focusing in a relaxed way. That's the really important part is that it's in a relaxed way. So if you're like, oh my gosh, my mind's wandering, I can't stop thinking
Hmm.
about what I said yesterday or what I'm going to eat later, right? And you get upset with yourself because you're not able to focus, then that's not the relaxed way. Like if your mind
Right.
wanders, oh well, you come back. That's the point of
Mm.
meditation, right? It's boot camp
Okay.
for your focus. But the second reason maybe is that you were doing the wrong meditation for you or for that situation, right? Like I would give a different meditation for when you're feeling anxious before a presentation than I would give you if you were grieving the loss of a loved one or you're trying to sleep at night. Those are different meditations, different techniques that you can use from the vast knowledge of meditation throughout history, throughout the world that you can adapt for your needs. And that's what I really have been doing is putting together meditations for specific situations, including
Hmm.
1 minute meditations, quick practices you can do.
Wow, and I have a question about that for later about the time, but what's fascinating, I've learned something here already, is that I didn't know there were different types of meditation. I thought you sit, you try to clear your mind, or you focus on something or repeat something, but it makes sense to have different types of meditations for different emotions or different issues that you're going through. So those are covered in your book then, different types of meditation.
Yeah, that's what meditation for the real world is all about. It's about,
Okay.
these critical moments in your life when you're overwhelmed from doom scrolling. There's a
Mhm.
meditation for that. There's a technique you can do to help you when you have social anxiety. So,
Mhm.
finding the techniques that work for you. It's not just there's this one way to do it that's blanket that I'm saying is the best way. It's like, you try the ones for the situations you need. It's more of a handbook. You flip to the page you need
Mhm.
based off of what you're dealing with.
Okay, like fitness or medication come to mind. They customize depending on, the person. Because
Yeah,
I have to do
yeah.
low impact stuff, so it makes sense to me that there are different types of meditation. Cool. Let's talk more about your personal experience. You mentioned some things that you had dealt with, and I'm curious as to when and why did you first begin meditating?
Well, I, like many people, didn't come to meditation because I wanted to learn to meditate. I came to meditation because I started yoga class, and
Ah,
meditation is a critical part of yoga. So I came for the physical practice of yoga. And
mhm,
then I was surprised by all the benefits I started to gain from meditation and the breathing practices and the other aspects of yoga. But at
mhm.
first, when we'd get to the point in the yoga class where we'd be meditating or maybe relaxing on our backs, I would be looking at my watch like, it is time to go. I have things to do. I already did my yoga practice in my
How long
mind,
is
right?
this? Yeah.
Yes. I didn't understand it. I didn't think it
Mhm.
had value for me. And the techniques didn't always work for me. But then teachers would give different techniques each time. And I found ones that worked for me, right? And I would get that
Uh-huh.
glimpse of like, oh, that's what it feels like to relax. That's what it feels like to focus
Mhm.
and really focus, not just focusing on a work project for a little while, like true focus, being in flow. That's what it feels like. And when I got that taste of it, I wanted more and more. But, it's not all techniques work for all people. So you got to try
Mhm.
different ones to see what works for you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Fun fact, in regards to your reference to yoga, the first time a friend I'm not a yoga person, the first time a friend took me to hot yoga, Bikram or whatever yoga,
Oh,
I didn't know
that's
it
the
was hot
hardest one.
yoga, and I was like I'm sitting there just sweating, I'm like, "What the hell? What is wrong with the air conditioner? Why how could we possibly?"
It's pretty torturous. I'm not into hot
Oh,
yoga, but
oh
some
my
people love
goodness.
it.
She did, and they all started laughing at me because 'cause I'm like, "It's too hot in here, turn the air down, what is happening?" So
Yeah,
so much to
totally.
learn, so much to learn. So, that makes sense that you were introduced to yoga, it helped you, so you were I think it's good to establish you didn't grow up doing yoga, you weren't I mean, like me, I had to get exposed to it, I'm learning even today about it, but I do know when I can get there that it truly helps. But what
Yeah.
about I never really thought about it in terms of science. You say there are science-backed benefits of meditation. Could you share some of those?
Absolutely. So I teamed with Harvard neuroscientist Dr. Sarah Lazar to write Meditation for the Real World. And so in it, we outlined the most cutting edge neuroscience and science supporting the practice. And it's
Mhm,
profound. There has been an exponential growth of research in meditation over the last 2 decades. And of
mhm,
course, we're seeing benefits for the brain. We're seeing benefits for mental health. That's probably the largest area. So, improving depression, anxiety, trauma, resilience, sleep, but also to the physical brain. When we put meditators into these fancy fMRI scanners, we
mhm.
see that the brain tissue in critical areas builds more connectivity. It becomes
Wow.
larger in areas related to focus, emotional regulation, memory, things that tend to decline with age and stress. Actually, meditation rebuilds those areas. So, 50-year-old meditators have brain structure similar in some of these studies to 25-year-old non-meditators. Some of these critical brain structures
Mhm.
have remained the same. Now, of course, we have also lifestyle differences between a meditator and a non-meditator that may play a role in that research. But the thing is, meditation helps you make better lifestyle decisions. You get in
Interesting.
touch with yourself. And that's how it's helped me so much with my chronic pain is
Mhm,
that I'm able to catch the pain when it's flaring really early, when my body's whispering, rather than when it gets to the point of bedridden yelling, right? I'm able
mhm.
to catch that pain and do the self care, do what I need, rest, put ice or heat, whatever I need to do. So it helps you get in touch with your body's needs and your intuition and make better lifestyle decisions. But we also see that meditation helps every system of your body, like the cardiovascular system. It improves blood pressure, cholesterol, heart rate variability, helps us to relax and counter stress. It even reduces risk of heart disease. And it also helps with getting sick less, the immune system. I could break down each system of the body and how meditation
The
can
benefit.
contribute, because
Mhm.
ultimately it's helping you manage stress and be more joyful, living
Wow.
out like what you really want to do, get in touch with your intuition and live the life that you want to live.
And I'm curious, I have a couple of follow-up questions. When you can see these changes in the brain and different areas light up, is that immediately or after they've been doing it 6 weeks or 6 months? At what point do you begin to see these changes?
Great question. So we have brain state changes immediately. So
Wow.
we have the brain wave activity changes, goes from like beta brain waves, like what we're doing right now, where we're conversing, or if you're listening to this podcast, you're listening, right? You're probably mostly dominant in beta brain waves, that kind of
Mhm.
evaluating, thinking sort of brain activity. Now we go pretty soon into alpha brain waves. Now that has to do with relaxation and ease. But meditation has been shown to bring us into other brainwave activities with practice, like gamma brainwaves, which have to do with peak focus and memory consolidation, or even delta brainwaves, which are typically only seen in deep sleep. There's some meditation techniques that bring us into that rejuvenation effect of sleep while we're awake and alert to observe it. And so
Mhm.
it's really cool what can happen immediately, and then that can last for some time afterwards. You feel relaxed for some time afterwards too. Brain chemistry also changes immediately. You release endorphins, those feel good chemicals. So we have that
Mhm.
immediate brain chemistry change. And then long term, we have changes. Typical research is about 8 weeks. We've seen changes in less than that, but the structure of the brain begins to change after just 8 weeks of practice. And then long term, we see even more changes and sustaining the critical brain tissue in those areas I was mentioning.
Wow, that's really fascinating. As a biology major too, I'm just picturing all those different types of waves, and I can see too that this would not only help you individually, but also in your relationships because that when you're tense, when you're in pain, when you're burnt out, that translates into how you communicate with other
Yes.
other people. Has there been any research to support how it impacts how you interact with the others?
Absolutely. And one of the growing areas of research right now, the burgeoning area, is compassion based meditations. Compassion based meditations have effects to our brain, but also our immune system, immediate
Mhm.
immune effects that last for days. And it's crazy how sending compassion to others, sending good wishes on others, helps you
Mm.
physiologically, helps your mental health.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
one of the techniques is loving kindness, and it can be done as like a 10-minute or plus, longer meditation. But we could
Mhm.
do like a 1 minute meditation of it right now if you'd like to
Let's
practice it.
do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Now we're not gonna have
So
a minute of silence, though. You're gonna be talking me
no,
through it, right?
I will
Okay.
talk you through it. I'll talk you
Because
through
that's
it.
bad for the audio, but alright.
No worries, no worries. I gotcha. So this is a
Okay.
guided meditation. If you're listening at home, you're welcome to close your eyes. But if you're driving or something, you can do this while you're driving. Honestly, I do this when somebody cuts me off and I'm experiencing some road rage. Rather than cursing at them, I do this. So, you can do this anywhere, anytime if you're listening to this. But first, let's
Okay.
go ahead and visualize somebody you love, someone who's easy to love right now. It might be family member, maybe it's your beloved pet. Go ahead and visualize them at ease, smiling, relaxed, happy. And we're going to send them these good wishes. Just repeat mentally in your head after me.
Okay.
May they be safe. May they be healthy. May they be joyful. May they be free from suffering. May they be at ease. Imagine them glowing, smiling, at ease. Notice how that feels in your physical body. Now let's go ahead and do to somebody you don't know that well, like maybe a coworker you don't know that well, or somebody that stood in line in front of you at
Okay,
the
you just
grocery
took
store.
away
Just
all my good feelings about my grandkids
oh,
just by
we're going
even
to the next
mentioning.
stage. We're going to the next stage. We're gonna take that love and kindness and send it to a stranger. So now that we practice on our
Ye
grandkids or pet, like that's
Okay.
easy to do, right? We're gonna do ones that
Right,
are a little
true.
more hard, right? So the stranger is a little more challenging. So just
Mhm.
imagine a stranger, okay? May they be safe. Can be anyone. May they be healthy. May they be joyful. May they be free from suffering. May they be at ease. Last one, we're going to send it to ourselves, that same loving kindness to ourselves.
Mm,
So imagine
okay.
yourself smiling and at ease. Feel your body relaxing. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be joyful. May I be free from suffering.
Mm.
May I be at ease. And just feel that in your body for a moment. Notice how you feel. So the reason we do ourselves at the end is because for a lot of people, it's easier to send that loving kindness to your grandkids than it is to yourself. But it's very
It is.
important to also send it to yourself. So after we've had a little practice, then we
Mhm.
send it to ourselves. And building that self-compassion is important too for helping relationships.
Very nice. I'm a Christian, and I spend time in my war room almost every night, and it really reminds me of the same type of feeling that I get from that. But it was interesting to me that it was so much easier for me to do that for a stranger than when you told me to think of someone specific. I
Yeah.
immediately felt annoyed. So I need to work on that. I got some issues on the back burner. For the strangers, that was good. But
Oh, interesting. And the cool thing about doing it for a stranger is I'll choose somebody like, the person that served me
Mhm.
coffee or the security guard in my building. And then all of a sudden the next day they're like so nice to me. I'm like,
Wow.
yeah, it's really strange. Just like they can feel it. Or even if I'm like going for a run, I'll
Mhm.
look at somebody and be like, may they be safe, may they be healthy. And I could see, they feel it. Like it's kind of cool how that works. But to your point, it is very similar to prayer. And I find that meditation works really well alongside prayer. So if you think
Mhm.
of prayer as speaking to God, meditation lights up your brain activity in a way more similar to listening. Perhaps
Mhm.
you're listening to God, listening to your intuition,
Mhm.
listening. So it's a really nice complement to a prayer practice that I often suggest.
You mentioned some issues that meditation is helped with and the science behind it, but I particularly want to talk about two that we discuss a lot on this program are perfectionism and burnout. How can
Yeah.
meditation help with those two issues?
So I myself am a recovering perfectionist. And that's why I always say if I can meditate, anybody can, right? Because
Mhm.
I feel like I was not the likely meditator. I'm not a naturally chill person. I'm a type A, gotta have it perfect. And I feel like the best technique for meditation is what we just practiced, that loving kindness for
Mhm.
perfectionism. Because as we practice, I like to put myself at the end. Traditionally, you put it at the beginning, and I find that so hard. I'm like, I have to start with sending loving kindness to myself, but I'll put it at the beginning and at the end because then you've
Mhm.
had that practice of sending to your grandkids, sending to all these other people, and being able to have that self compassion. Is really important. Like I remember when I was a little kid, I would pray to God and I would say, "Forgive me for all the mistakes I've made today," and I'd list out all my mistakes.
Mhm.
Tomorrow I will be perfect, I promise.
Oh, wow.
Tomorrow I will be perfect. And every single
Oh.
day I would come back and pray, I'm so sorry I made this mistake. I cut off my teacher. I said something mean or
Mhm.
whatever I did. And I would list them out. And,
Well, you
I
put a
think,
lot of pressure on your little self.
right. If my like 8-year-old self was going through that,
Mhm.
that like perfectionism has been a lifelong struggle for me. And I think that developing self-compassion is one of the hardest things we can do, but it's one of the most important, as we are often forgive other people for their mistakes, but we have a harder time forgiving ourselves for
Mhm.
our mistakes. And I think that building that through loving kindness meditation, that one we practice, is really helpful, as well as just listening to your intuition and your body, listening to your signals
Mhm.
so that you can do the proper self care. That really helps with perfectionism. Now, burnout is an interesting one because I feel like we live in this go, go, go society where everybody's like, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to add a 20-minute to do thing on my morning list, right? But it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to sit on a cushion on the floor for 20 minutes in silence. Your kids can be screaming in the background when you meditate. Guess what? That's a great time to be able to meditate with the sounds of whatever chaos is going on in your house. Because if you
Mhm.
can cultivate chill amidst that chaos, then you're going to be able to bring that into your everyday life. So
Oh, you gotta
yeah,
trademark that. Cultivate chill amidst chaos. That's beautiful. That's
I
that's a
think
tweet.
that's the first time I
That's a
said that.
tweet.
So,
That
okay.
write it down as soon as we're done,
Quote
because
me.
that's beautiful. I love that.
Yes, so it's better practice if it's loud and chaotic,
Mhm.
or if you're feeling overwhelmed and your mind is wandering a lot. It's better practice to meditate in that moment, right? We think of meditation as boot camp for your focus. So
Mm.
it's like when we go work out and it's that day you don't feel like working out and you get up and you force yourself to. Not that day that's super easy, you feel motivated. No, the day that you don't want to, but you do it. And maybe
Anyway.
you do it like half your effort. But at the end, you're
Mhm.
like, wow, I'm glad I came. I'm glad I at least came.
Right.
I'm glad I did it. That's what those meditations are like. You're getting an even better workout for your brain or for
Mhm.
your brain network activity when you are distracted, when you're burnt out, when you're frustrated, when your mind is wandering constantly in the meditation. Because meditation isn't stopping your thoughts. Meditation is noticing when your thoughts are wandering and then redirecting. It's the whole process. The first
Mhm.
step
Kinda
of
organizing.
meditation, yes, it is, because the first step
Mhm.
for everybody, even advanced meditators, is your mind will wander. You
Mhm.
focus on the focal point, whatever it is, the thing I tell you to say, your breath, your body awareness, whatever the focal point is, you focus on it. Second step, mind wanders. The next step is
Mhm.
what makes it key. You determine, is this important or not? If it's, what did I say 10 years ago to somebody, and are they still mad at me? Is that important right
Mm.
now? No, it's not.
Mhm.
Uh, so you'd come back to your focal point. That ability to redirect back to your focal point is a specific brain network activity that you're strengthening, right? That's your reps in the gym. That's you strengthening that activity, because most of the time in the day, our mind is wandering constantly. 47% of the time in our waking hours, our mind is wandering, but we don't even notice it. We believe our thoughts. We just get caught up in them, and most of them are negative. So meditation isn't stopping your thoughts, it's stopping believing your thoughts. It's
Wow.
coming into the presence, and when you slow things down, you're able to handle it better. So I think of like burnout, you need to put these 1-minute meditations into your life. You are at your computer, you're reading an email, you're overwhelmed from it. It's a
Mhm.
stressful email. Maybe you even drafted a response before you press send, before you respond.
Mhm.
Turn your chair around. Look out a window if possible. Broaden your vision. Our eyes are not meant to be narrow focused on these little screens all the time. Our eyes like that broad, expansive vision. Take a
Mhm.
moment, notice what you see. And as you're listening to this, we'll do this as like a 30-second meditation. Notice what you see. Take it in. Notice what you hear from far away to up close. Take a deep breath. In through the nose, notice what you smell. Notice any tastes that are present. And finally, notice what you physically feel in your body. Feel your body. That's where we can get in touch with that intuition and that listening. If you take just a minute to get in touch with the moment, turn your chair back around, I guarantee you'll be able to answer that email with greater sense of clarity. You'll be able to come with your true voice, your true self, with proper
And more
boundaries, with
professionalism,
kindness.
probably.
Professionalism.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. That's very, very good. Great answer. And I love just how you're acknowledging that we all have these thoughts and our minds wander, and there's nothing wrong with you. I think that's the big takeaway for me. There's nothing wrong with you. That's perfectly normal, but particularly when it comes to needing to calm yourself down, we got to rein that in a little bit.
Yeah.
You've alluded a couple of times to the amount of time to meditate. Until I talked to you, I'd never really heard of a 1-minute meditation. I really thought you needed to sit there 30 minutes or an hour.
Oh, wow.
How long do you need to meditate for it to work?
Yeah. So traditional practices are 20-ish
Mhm,
plus minutes, right? But I find that if I'm going to fit a formal practice into my day, seated on a chair, however you want to sit, it's going to be 10 minutes in the morning.
mhm,
So that's often also a length of time done in the research that has shown to be effective. Is 10 minutes is great. You can even start smaller as a beginner, like 5 minutes. Now, throughout the day, if you place a short meditation, 1 minute, 3 minutes, one breath meditation, if it's right before you're about to blow a fuse and yell at your kids, a one breath meditation could be a huge game changer, right? So
right.
if you fit these little pauses, these powerful pauses through your day, I think you'll get even more of an impact. And your brain is going to get used to like, oh, I'm anxious. Let me do a little minute. Let me close my eyes. Let me check into my five senses like we just did, right? What do I
Mhm,
see, hear, smell, taste, and feel? So you'll get used to integrating them into those critical moments. You'll be able to walk on stage with more clarity. So I find that integrating them into right before I have an interview, before I press accept, before you go into a meeting, before you press
mhm.
accept on that Zoom meeting, that's when you can have that 1 minute meditation or less. And you're going to come to that meeting with more professionalism, kindness, clarity, and feeling at your optimal focus. So I find that those short meditations make a difference. And we're finding that with exercise too, is that, these
Yes.
brief exercise snacks we fit through our day, they make a
Mhm.
better difference in increasing our blood flow through the day, lowering our blood glucose levels, helping our energy. And if you think about it, this is what humans are really meant to do. We're meant to be
Yes.
constantly moving. We're
Right.
meant to be present, right? We're not meant to be
Mhm.
scrolling and bombarded with these distant cues, whether it's like from far away, there's a war going on, and what's happening in the other side of the world, and then your ex just got married and had a baby. It's just so much to process, right? We're
It
not
is.
meant to process all of that stimuli so fast. And so it's really these little breaks can help us with processing. They're like a reset button to our nervous system.
Absolutely. I thought about as you were saying that I have, 2 or 3 friends who just don't do social media at all, they don't, and whenever we're around people and they say that, because someone will say, "Did you see on the ground? Did you see on Facebook?" And we're all yakking, and they go, "I don't do social media." And,
Good for them.
everybody gets this horrified expression on their face, but those are some of the calmest, happiest people I know, and there is nothing happening they get major news, but there's nothing happening on social media that's gonna change. I mean, every once in a while, I get a little help from TikTok, but for the most part, there's nothing life-changing or transformational, depending on what the average person is looking at, and that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that not being part of your life. It's just so crazy how we think, and I'm saying that because I think that leads to some of the burnout and perfectionism is that we're
Yes.
comparing ourselves to Photoshop unreal things. You know, they might have done
Filters.
400 cuts to get to get that 30 seconds that you see, and we have no
Yes,
idea.
absolutely. And it seems like if you are one of the social media users, like
Mhm.
when you're waiting, your finger just goes right to it. You know, you
It
just start
does.
scrolling and it fits into these little moments in our life. But like on the cover of Meditation for the Real World, there is
Mhm.
someone sitting on a subway and she's the only one that like looks chill. She's got headphones on and she's got her feet grounded and
Mhm.
she's maybe listening to a guided meditation like we just did, or maybe
Right.
she's listening to a song that's chill. Now, everyone around her is hunched over their phone or even computer. They're just so distracted. And that's what has happened. We scroll constantly. We know that's not good for our brains. And, and really, what if we meditate while we write instead?
Mm.
You take those little powerful pauses. You have a minute when you're waiting to go into the doctor's office. You
Mhm.
have a minute when you're on public transportation. That's a great time to check in with your five senses. It's a great time to use a meditation technique to help you with these things. And to your point, you know, social media, I agree with you. Like, there's
Mhm.
nothing like dire that we need on it. And that's what I love about long form content, like what we're doing right now is podcasts.
Yes.
You can listen to it on your drive, you can take it in, you can hear from some of the top experts in the world and get into the nuance of it. If I were to make a 20-second video about meditation, it's not going to tell you the same as what we are able to talk about today.
I agree completely. That's why I love this format so much as well. Um, this was interesting to me. I read that you use meditation to manifest a book contract with Random House. Random House, if you don't know that publisher, they are a major big league publisher. Is that true, Ann Swanson?
Well, my publisher DK is part of Penguin Random House,
Okay.
and I got this book contract at a time in my life where I was meditating and journaling a lot, and I was getting
Mhm.
rejections from job offers constantly, from job applications, just one after the other. But I was staying strong and meditating, and like I knew a big opportunity was coming my way and keeping my eyes open. And I got a random email from an editor that offered me this book contract. I didn't have an agent. I didn't
Oh
have a
my
big social
goodness.
media
That's
following, nothing.
insane. No
And I
query
truly,
letter, nothing.
yes,
Wow.
nothing. I didn't have a book proposal, but they sent me their book proposal for Science of Yoga, my first book, and it was
Mhm.
exactly what I would have written. I just finished my master's of science in yoga therapy. So I just got this graduate degree, which made me weirdly overqualified for all these jobs, which is why I was getting rejection letters. And I was like, I
Mhm.
know I need a project that brings together everything I just learned from that and from traveling the world. I studied yoga in India and Tai Chi and meditation in China. And I knew I wanted something that would bring it all together. They sent me a book proposal. This was the proposal I would have written, and the rest is history. And I truly believe that when you listen to your inner body awareness, your intuition,
Mhm.
when you are in touch, then you're opening your you're opening yourself to the opportunities that are right for you, for the right people to come
I
into
agree.
your life.
I agree, and that is very encouraging. I hope for those of you out there who are, waiting for something wonderful to happen and you're curious. I think we're both intellectual tourists, and I just want you to know no experience, no opportunity, no conversation is wasted, no education. Take all of the classes you want, travel all of the places. It's going to come together into some
It comes together. It comes
amazing new
all
thing.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing new thing. Well, congratulations to you. I didn't know which book it was for, but I did get that tidbit of information. And as a fellow author, I just was like, because I've had other things happen around speaking in particular that just came out of the blue. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. But books, no, no, I've had to go the more traditional route of getting mine published. And that's been great too. But I am that just makes me all that more excited about that wonderful opportunity that you got, and now you've got a second book. on
Yeah.
meditation. So good work. So my final question for you, Anne, is what has been the biggest long-term benefit of meditating for you?
I think I alluded to it earlier. I
Mhm.
was debilitated by anxiety and chronic pain.
Mm,
And now I manage both of those things. It's not like anxiety never comes up or the
of
chronic pain,
course.
it's a lifelong condition. So it still comes and flares and comes and goes,
Mhm.
but it is not debilitating at all. It doesn't run me. Both of them sit
Yay.
in the back seat, and I am able to run my own life. That's been the biggest area is anxiety and chronic pain for me.
I am so happy to hear that and so happy that you're sharing the lessons learned in your journey to help others. So please, before we go, tell listeners how to connect with you online and learn more and order your books.
Yeah, go to meditationfortherealworld.com. And not only will you get the links to be able to buy the book wherever you are, but also you'll get a free meditation challenge. So if you've been wanting to get started in meditation, then this is the perfect thing for you. Less than 10 minutes a day with tips on how to integrate these 1 minute meditations into your life. So that comes with the book. So go to meditationfortherealworld.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Anne. And thank you, listeners, for your time and support of this woman owned indie podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and share for more like this. Until next time, be safe and be well.